What's up, family? Welcome to the family room again. I hope you all have been enjoying season two. I really put a lot of thought and went into prayer in regards to the guests to bring in the family room with me for this season. And it's personal for me because, as you all know, it's centered around my book. It's just a season, not a sentence. We are now about to go into the episode that deals with the blended family. There's another chapter before it, and we're going to record for that chapter, but we're going to push up our schedule, and we are now going to talk about the blended family. And this is going to be a part one and a part two. So there's two episodes for this particular chapter. And the first person that we're going to have on is, I promise you all, she is probably one of my favorite people to be around. We call her Mama Rita. We have been calling her Mama Rita for as long as I have known her, as long as she has been in my life. And when I was thinking of someone to bring in that has literally, I feel, has really mastered the blended family, she was the first person to come into my spirit. And so you all are going to love this episode. She comes with so much wisdom. What I love about Mama Rita is that she is one of the individuals that you could just glean from. I just love being in her presence, and I love the wisdom that she brings in conversations. And so I promise you, this is going to be an episode you're not going to want to forget. So if you are one that you know someone, or you're trying to get this blended family together, this is the episode just for you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. You're back in the family room. I am your host, Traci Wade. I am so excited and I am honored to be before you guys tonight. I want you to do me a favor. I need for you to tag someone. I need you to send text messages out. I need for you to get the message out that In the Family Room is on right now. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that by visiting I Am Traci Wade. Also, our podcast is also on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio, and we're on Apple. And so we're trying to get the message out about In the Family Room. I truly do believe that this is a place, a digital place, for families to be healed, for families to be restored, for us to have these conversations, to basically ignite families to talk things through and to bring unity and to teach us how to love and care for one another and support each other. And I am so excited about tonight's discussion. As you all know, we are in season two, and this season is really dedicated to the book that I released last year. It's just a season, not a sentence, and we are hitting all of the chapters. The Lord pressed this upon my heart as I was seeking him about season two, and he was like, I want you to talk about the book. And so my guest today, listen, she is no stranger to my life. Let me just say. I think I've known her for over 30 years. And I remember when when I first kind of heard her name. I heard Mama Rita, Mama Bridges. It was Mama Bridges back then. And I was just like, it's still Mama Bridges. And I was like, who is Mama Bridges? And so like, I finally met her. What I can say about her, the things that I remember in the early days was she had all these kids, man. She was like the mama with all of these kids. And I'm like, Lord. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today. But one of my fond memories of her, I have a few, is she made my wedding cake when I got married. And so that was really my first personal experience that really meant a lot to me. And since then, I have grown. I would say the last 4 years, I have grown to see her and love her even more. And because of our conversations, and what I love the most is that she is just who she is. Mama Rita, welcome to the family room.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tracy. I am so honored to be here with you tonight.
Thank
Yes.
you. I am honored to have you here. As I was just thinking of guests for each of the chapters of It's Just a Season, Not a Sentence. When I got to the blended family chapter, you were the only person that I really wanted on the podcast. And the reason why is because I I have seen you as a mom in different phases of your life, different phases from the time that you were raising your children to them growing up. Now they're adults and they have families of their own, and you are a grandmother. And it's like, I'm gonna be honest, it's almost like nothing changed. Like you are still equally as invested as you were then. I still see it and feel it now. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. If you don't mind, can you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself? And then I also want you to talk about just the dynamics of your family unit, because we are talking about the blended family. And so
Blended
yours
family.
is just super special.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, um, born and raised Orlando. I am native. I went to Carver Middle School, Edgewater High School, Valencia Community College, went off to college, met my husband in my mid 20s, got married. We birthed 4 children. He had 3 children before we married, and God gave us 2 more. And that's how I always explain my blended family. So we both raised nieces from each one of our families. Um, so I don't know what else. uh, love God, God fearing. Hey,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I don't do anything without Him. Putting Him first. Um, I don't know, Tracy, jump in there, help me out. What else
Yeah,
do
I
you?
well, I could go so there's so many ways I could there's so much I could do right now. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to contain it. I want to talk about, let's start with marry someone with 3 kids.
Okay. Ooh,
That is let's start right
that.
there.
Okay.
I
Okay.
want to know what your first of all, I want to know how old you were at that time. And then I want to know what were your thoughts about, like, did you have any reservations about marrying someone that already had children? Because this is very normal. We see this a lot with men. We see it with women too. It's not something
Mm-hmm.
that's not normal, but I just wanted to know, what was your thought process? How old were you, and what was your thought process back then regarding that?
Okay. Before I go into that, um, well, my age, I was 24 at the time. I was 23 when I met my husband, Bernard, when I met Bernard. But before that, I didn't have any children, single. But I always had children around me. I always would go and get my girlfriend's children and take them places and do things with them. Me and my sister, we both, she didn't have any children, I didn't have any children, but we always surrounded ourselves with other people's children. And so taking care of or being around other children was not foreign to me. And children gravitate to me. And so when I met Bernard, I didn't know he had, no, I did. I knew he had one child, and that's Twanya. That's my big girl. So I knew about Twanya. She was just going into three, being 3 years old. So she was still a little girl. So I knew about Twanya when I met him. Um, but it wasn't until after we married, or maybe the day of my wedding, I found out he had two more kids. That's a whole nother story for another for another podcast.
For
Yeah,
another
but
podcast. I understand.
yeah, for another topic altogether. But it was okay. Well, it wasn't okay. Let me be honest. We had a very serious conversation. I did with him. And after finding out about the other two, which were two older boys, Twanya was the youngest, so he had two older children. So my conversation with him, it was short, it was sweet, but it was direct. And I said, as long as there are no children younger than the ones we have, I'm okay. So if you understand what that means, if you have
Yeah,
no
yeah,
other
yeah.
children after you
Yeah,
and I got
yeah.
together, I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We'll deal with it, because
Yeah.
anything you did, because my whole my whole thought process is anything you did before meeting me, I didn't have control over that. I have no control over that part. You're choosing me to be your wife. I'm choosing you to be my husband. So together, we're going to talk about and deal with what's going to come about. And now, of course, with that, things came about, and
Yeah.
I'm quick to. We need to have a conversation. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know, I know this is not, I'm just throwing this in here because this is, you are married and this is part of the better, for better or for worse. Like these things
Yes.
happen in marriages, unfortunately.
Yes. Yes.
You might have someone that is keeping a secret and that person may not have wanted to be foretelling of that secret. And so, I do believe that it's important to have these important conversations before you get married. But then after you get married, life
Yes.
be life. Like
Life
these
be
things
life, and
happen. And so
and
you have to work through them.
I will be honest, it wasn't an easy conversation for me. And it took me, I don't know how many days it might have taken me to rectify it, to play that in my head. And I always, and me, I always think things through before I approach it. Not to say that I try to predict what's going to happen. No, I always want to make sure I am in the right frame of mind before I address any
Yeah.
situation. So, as
Yeah.
the word says, I am quick to hear before I speak.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
always want to consider all parties. My mom raised us to consider the whole situation before we address the
Mhm.
situations. So that's how we were just trained and raised. So, and it wasn't an easy conversation to have. I'm a newlywed. I was pregnant. I was about 5 months
Yeah.
pregnant with my
Yeah.
first when we got married. So here I am, new wife, new mom, and now I'm finding out I'm a stepmom to two more children that I wasn't aware of. So that was,
Right.
that was I won't say it was tough, but whew, it was
Yeah.
a pill that had to be swallowed.
I really do believe that even with sharing this, you're really truly ministering to someone. In regards to this, there's someone that's probably going through something very, very similar. and and it is not something that is very easy to navigate. It's not something that is very easy to even get over, because you didn't have all of the facts before you said I do. Now there's so much to consider. You're pregnant and
Right.
you've gotten married, and I know your heart. You take covenant very seriously, and so I just wanted to just put that
Yeah.
out there that this is not something that people don't go through. This is just part of life sometimes. So I want to piggyback on
Yes.
your big
Yes.
girl, Twanya. Let me say this. Twanya and I went to high school together. She graduated a year before me. I don't think I knew, like, I knew her last name was Bridges, but I didn't connect the two. I know until it was either my senior year in high school or it was right after high school. I had no idea that she was this branch of the, because it's a lot of bridges, just so y'all know. In Orlando, it's a whole bunch of
Connected.
bridges. It's a lot of them. But I never knew she was yours. I never knew. And we were in the band together. I knew who she was. She wasn't like someone I didn't know. I always knew Twanya. And
Right.
so I want you to just share a little bit about what that relationship was like with her and her mother. What was the relationship between the two of you?
Okay.
Because one of the things that I am a very strong advocate about, um, as it pertains to the blended family, is this building of a very strong foundation. If you don't have the parents on one accord,
Mm-hmm.
it all kind
Yeah.
of foolishness. All it could go real left real quick. So if you don't mind, if you could share a little bit about your relationship with her mother and what that was like for you.
Yeah. Awesome. First, I want to share the relationship. I built a relationship with Twanya first before building one with her mom. Because, like I said,
Okay.
Twanya was two, almost three. She definitely was three by the time we got married. And I had met her, or been in her presence, because Bernard would go and pick her up and then bring her to wherever we were going, or so I had some interaction with this little person. And then at one point in our early marriage, Twanya came to live with us for a little while. So we really bonded
Okay.
as mom, stepmom, and stepdaughter. But I mean, she was three. She didn't refer to me as as a step. She regarded me very highly, loved. I mean, she's just a sweet little girl and did no wrong. She was very loving. She's easy to love. That's what I'm trying to say. She was very, very easy to love, very warm. So I built a relationship with Twanya first. Well, I found out also there was a lot of I don't okay. There was a lot of things that I was not aware of coming into
Okay.
this relationship. So I
Right.
found out that Bernard and Twanya's mom were engaged. I didn't know that part. So when I came on the scene, I just thought she was a baby mama, you know. And we're all the same age. We're all, so I didn't form a relationship with her, but we did speak very cordially toward one another. And in
Yeah.
the fact of Twanya's coming over to our house, I'm going to take care of your daughter. You know, there's, nothing, I'm not going to hurt her. I'm not going to harm her or anything like that. Well, the relationship that she, Robert and I had to um, cultivate, we had a very serious, down to earth phone call one time, and it only took one phone call because I stated my position, she stated her position, and we agreed that Twanya was the most important thing between the two of us. And that's what we dealt with. That's what our focus, we decided our focus would solely be on Twanya and not what her relationship was with Bernard before me or what me and Bernard's relationship is now. And we never mixed the two. So,
Mm.
um, and it grew. It was a seed. I can say it now because you know when you look back at things, and mind you, I wasn't saved at that time, but you know, my dad said you got to have common sense. Come on, you got to have some kind of horse sense. So just common sense said to me, it's not the little girl fault that we dysfunctional. These adults in her life are dysfunctional. It ain't her fault. So we're gonna love on her and make sure she's taken care of, that she's not wanting for nothing. And as adults, we're gonna deal with our own issues. And the one thing I did not do, and to this day I do not cross the line of interfering in somebody else's relationship. Now what the relationship Bernard had with Twanya's mom, they had to work that thing out, but I let them both of them understand it is not whatever your relationship it is not going to interfere in my house. So y'all get
Yeah,
it together. So you know y'all get it together, but we still had to agree on a lot of things as a couple.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I guess I was a my whole premise is to keep peace. That you know, that's my MO. I just I want to say, God, what is the peace in this
Yeah,
situation? We know it's ugly. We know the devil could come in and just wreak havoc. But no, we're
right.
gonna seek what's the peaceful thing to do in you know in all matters.
You really truly said a mouthful. And it was just so much wisdom that I just took from this one, what you just said. And one of the reasons why I feel like this is so important to address is because we have seen a lot of women, when something when a relationship, you mentioned that she was engaged, and of course, Daddy Bridges did not. He chose you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
from a woman's perspective, let me just say this: that could be very, very painful. I know that that was painful for her, right? More than
Mm-hmm.
likely it was. Most women would be devastated if you're engaged and he goes a different way. But then when there's children involved, this is where women have to make a decision, because what I have seen, and I'm sure you have seen this as well, I have seen women scorned, and they
Mm-hmm.
have used the children as pawns
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to get back. It's like this get back to this vengeance spirit of
Right.
unforgiveness, pride, rebellion. Um, and it's hurting no one but the children that are involved, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely right.
I've never been a bonus mom. I've never been a stepmother. I am a mother, and I was married. Um, and our situation was it was very hard to navigate, because we just as soon as we got divorced, the next month he got married. And so my children, it was like, here we are. Like, we didn't have
Yeah.
time to prepare to become this
Yes.
for this blended family establishment. Like, it just happened. And I had to, at first, there was a part of me that wanted to make it just be
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
There was
Oh
a
yeah.
part of me that wanted to make it hard for her because of what I had endured. Yeah, I wanted to make it very hard for her. But I wasn't even saved at the time, but I guess I had a little Jesus in my heart. I couldn't bring
Yeah,
myself to that
he
point.
planned it a little. Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to that point. I knew that I had to teach my children how to treat her. I had to teach
Mm-hmm.
them that it was not okay. You know, my children were a little older than Tanya was when she first entered your life, but I had to teach them
Mm-hmm.
that you don't disrespect any adult. I don't care.
Adult.
I don't care
Right,
what happened. You have to show
right,
this
right.
woman respect. And so I had to put my children first, I want you to just kind of speak on that and just encourage like what that does and why that is so important.
I would just like to say that understood the pain of rejection. I know I went through it with a prior relationship, you know, thought I was going to be in a relationship with a person and they went and got married on me. I've never shared that with anybody. That's painful. So I knew how that
Yeah.
felt. So when Robert and I had that conversation, and her name is Robert, so whoever's listening, they go, Robert. Yes, that's her legal name. She's named after her father. But when Robert and I had that hard conversation, and now, like I say, we only had the one, but it really was a
Mhm.
hard and in-depth conversation. I empathized with how she was feeling, but at the same time, I let it be known that you two were not married. His obligation toward you has changed. It'll be different if you were married. Then there were certain other
Yeah.
obligations that you could speak to, or you can, how I want to say, not command, demand, but request from him. Um,
Mhm.
but I said the only obligation he has now is Tanya. So
Mhm.
that was my stand, and I wanted that understood from the beginning. But I did understand, and I wanted her to know I did not know about you. So it's not like I came in and purposely
Right.
disrupted your relationship. I was unaware of your relationship. How did I know I was interfering with anything? But, just to say, I understand. I feel it. I felt it. So I know what it's like. And
Yeah.
we will not go down the road of you punishing your daughter from not being around her father. Because the one thing I did know, one, Bernard took care of his children. He always had. Even the two I wasn't aware of, I found out he always took care of them. And Twanya loved her daddy. That girl lit up when that man would walk into the room. What kind of person would I be to interfere with that? That would be horrible of me.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I wanted that protected, you
Mm.
know.
Mhm.
So that was part of that hard conversation. Don't punish him by using
Mhm.
her.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to stand for it because she
Yeah.
has every right to love her dad and be with her dad. And I will never, ever deny her access
Yeah.
to him. Never. So,
I
and
love
like
that.
you
That's
said at the beginning, those were some hard, that was a hard conversation, but it was a needed conversation,
yeah.
and I think it turned the tide a little, not much, because we still had some years to work out some things, but
Mhm. Yeah.
it 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 established um our positions. And I think
Yeah.
that was really the important part, to
Yeah.
establish our positions. I'm not Tanya mom,
Yeah.
and Tanya calls me bonus mom. I never referred to myself as that, but she called me a bonus mom. And I take
Yeah.
and I take that as an honor and a privilege to be called that. That she looked upon me as that. Um, but I wanted to establish my
Mm.
position. That's your mom. That's your mother. This is your father, and I'm your bonus.
I think that's so beautiful because that is a lot of times with the blended family, that's the missing piece. Is this establishment? Um, Very often when we don't have these conversations, we're coming in with our own thoughts, which
Mm-hmm.
the enemy can run rapid with our thoughts and put things in our thoughts that can ultimately come in our heart. I love the fact that you
Yes.
said that you could empathize with her,
Yes.
because I think that that's so important, especially with what she went through. You were able to
Mm-hmm.
empathize, and a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
this is what we need to do.
Yes.
There's so many different dynamics. There are you have situations where the parents never married, just like Daddy Bridges and Twanya's mom, or they
Mm-hmm.
were married, and there's so many just different scenarios. But if we can learn how to understand the roles that we each play, establish those roles, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
honor it from each other, I believe everything else in time falls into play.
It
I
falls.
have
It
seen,
falls in order.
what you said about Tony. You said we both agreed we love this little girl, and if we
Mm-hmm.
could just stick to that, like I believe that the other things after that would fall into play,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think we make it harder than we have to. I
Yes.
want to shift real quick because let's see. I'm naming them silently because I don't want to call their names out. I know we did twice.
It was
Okay,
9.
so I knew you had four. I knew you. Well, I knew you had six forever.
Okay. Right.
Now, there are two girls that
Tonya and Regina.
no. I'm not talking about your biological children. I am talking about
Oh, okay.
Tam and Tanisha.
And Tanisha, my two God given.
I thought I thought that these were your children, that you had them naturally. That's what I thought when we were when I met all of these people, like all of them. And it was I was like, because Tam looks so much like you. I literally thought you had her like maybe she got pregnant before school, or because she was a lot older than the others, and I was just like, you know. So when I found out that you were raising them,
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What?" And at the time I'm younger, but now that I'm older, when I look at it, I'm like, my God, on today. So this is what I want to know from you. Okay.
Okay.
Were you prepared? I know you say you love kids. Were you prepared for all of the emotional things that, because we're talking about two that came into the family,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot that can go with that that impacts the family. And I don't know their story. I don't know what they've had to deal with. But when you're for some, if you have like a cousin that comes to live with your family, it can almost feel like you're looking in from the outside in, like you're not a
Mm-hmm.
part. But I never felt like I knew you treated them all the same. And this is something that I witnessed. But were you prepared to deal with any of the things, the emotional things? Because we're talking about their parents, their biological parents, for whatever reason, could not be in place to take care of them at that time. What was that like for you, and were you prepared for any of that?
Okay. Well, with Tamara's been in my life from birth. So I was in going into my senior year of high school. She's my oldest brother child. And I was going into my senior year of high school. He asked me to keep her one summer. And that summer now has turned into over 50 years. If that
Literally.
so
Yeah.
so I had Tamara before I ever met Bernard. So I went through high school and college with this little girl. Between my mom and I, we raised Tamara. Because when I went off to school at Florida State, then my mom took Tamara for that time. And then when I came back, well, she was living out in California. So after Bernard and I got married, we had children and everything. I think Tamara came in her ninth grade year. She came back to Orlando. And the conversation I had was wherever I live, she lives. So it don't matter. So she moved, she came back and she's been with me ever since. So coming back from ninth grade, it might have been ninth or 10th grade. But either way, she's been with me ever since. So it was just that little stretch between college and, and then after I got married, that she lived with my mom, with her grandmother, I should say. She lived with her grandmother. So, you know, there really were no emotions with Tamara, just typical teenage stuff, raising kids. And Bernard was used to her. Bernard knew her. So, they already had a relationship. Um, Tanisha came, I think she was in seventh grade when she came into our family. And she came into the family by way of, um, her mom was incarcerated, and there were three girls, her mom had three girls. And we, as a family nucleus, the Bridges family, we didn't want the girls to be split up. We didn't want social services coming in and split them up. So because Tanisha was the age of my children, the ones in my house, she came to live with me. The other young lady, her other sister, the middle girl, went with one of Bernard's sisters because she was around the same age of her children. And the youngest baby, she was newborn. She went with another one of Bernard's sister who had raised her kids, and so she had the room and the space. So that was the situation with Tanisha coming. Now, when Tanisha came into the house, there were ground rules that I put in place. Everybody understood the reason why we didn't hide anything. Everyone knew why she was coming in. And I said to her, I didn't really talk to her mom, but I said, this is where you live. This is what we do. These are the rules in the house. I said, and you're part of the family. You're a member of this family. Whatever the family does, you're gonna do. Whatever the family get, you're gonna get. Well, the family don't get, you won't get. So, it was just that. Now, Regina knew Tanisha because Tanisha was always at their grandmother house. Um, so it wasn't like she was coming into a house where she didn't know anyone, but she had to adjust. There was an adjustment. She had to
Yeah.
adjust to a new environment, a new house, and being around us 24/7. Which I think we made it through.
Made it
So
through.
that was,
No, through.
yeah, that was that. And of course we had some situations that we had to work through. Now with my brother, with Tamara, he was estranged. So Tamara didn't have a relationship with her dad. And to be honest with you, I don't have a great relationship with him either, but he is my brother. Um, Now with Tanisha, I knew of her mom, but I had never really been around her mom. But I made sure that she stayed in contact with her mother through letter, through phone call, and through visits. We would drive to where she was so she could spend time with her girls and get to know her girls. So it wasn't the thing that, well, you can't go around your mom. She ain't here. She ain't take care of you. No, that's your mom. I'm not your mom. I'm your aunt. But you're a member of this family and you're my child. I introduced myself as her mom, but so that's just the way I looked at it. Uh,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
I didn't, I didn't like making someone else feel less than or not equal to, because we all are equal in the sight of God. And that's the way I always saw things. She's a child. She needed the same kind of love, the same kind of compassion. She needed the same kind of support that the other ones that were in the house needed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, she so why would I treat her any different? No, I wouldn't ever do that.
Your family, and I know I don't like I it's not it's a family, but when I say it is so divinely blended with your natural children and your extended family children. And for those that are watching, if you were around this family, you would think that these children, these individuals, she gave birth to them naturally. When I tell you she doesn't, they're all, you wouldn't tell the difference. I'm telling you. And it is just it's such it's refreshing to watch. It's refreshing and encouraging to watch because I I think we live in a time now, because you mentioned in regards to Tanisha, um her situation with her mom being incarcerated. Like, you all came together as a family and said these children are not going to be separated. And I think and so
Right?
y'all did what y'all needed to do. You rolled up your sleeves. Okay, this one get
Yes.
this one get it, and you made sure that they still stayed connected as siblings. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
this is one of the things that I just think that I don't know, we're in a day and time where you don't see a lot of that anymore, which is
Yeah.
why children are ending up in the foster care system,
Mm-hmm.
because family members are not willing to take on additional. And I'm sure, I can't even imagine what y'all, you know, grocery bill looked like. I raised four boys, so
Okay.
I can't. I don't. I don't even want. I don't even want to guess. Nevertheless, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that God provided, that you all didn't go
Yes.
without, that He made sure He made a way, and you stayed in faith, you encouraged them, you raised them, and you just buckled down and did what you needed to do so that
Y-
they were
y-
not lost to the system.
Yeah. And that's the key. That's the key. Who are the adults in the room? That's where I always stood, and I always take that stand. Who's the adult in the room? Who's the one that should have the wisdom, the knowledge, and here's the other part, the understanding? Who's that person? So, when they were growing up, um, I didn't think about, oh God, I got all these kids I got to take care of. No, I thought about You got dishes for a week. You got the bathroom for a week. You got the backyard. Get that done. You know, I would tell my sisters would say little things, especially my oldest one. She would say little things. I said, look, I had to manage a house. I had to manage a family. Not that I directed and controlled every situation that happened. No, I'm not saying that. But I had to make sure the family worked as a unit.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was what was more important to me than me being bogged down or my own emotions or you know and the kids knew it. They knew it. When I came in from work and I said, y'all give me a minute and I got to go in my room, because when I came out of my room, I left Rita, and whatever Rita had problems she had, I left it in the room. So when I came out the room, I wanted to be present and, you know, all intact for whatever they had to go through and whatever was going on, so I can address it and address it correctly. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Now, I wanted to just touch on your children are older now. They're grown. And I wanted to talk about you as a grandmother because I think this thing extends. And I know we're talking about the blended family, but this is about family as well. And I would be remiss. I want you to talk about your summers in particular. Um, I want you to tell it. I want you to share
Oh,
how many grandchildren you have, and for years what summers looked like.
summer, summer, summers. Okay. When, okay. And I never said this. There are 9 children in all. So, with my 4, his first 3, and then the other 2. So 9 children in all. And when they started having children, I considered all of them mine, my grandchildren. But it was when Regina had her 2, well, she had Zaria and then Andrew. And then our oldest together, Bernard, that lived here in Houston, and he had 3. Well, I start remembering my childhood, how my mom would send us to her mother in Georgia every summer. And we would spend not weeks, we would spend the whole summer for about 2.5 months. We would spend in Georgia, and how much that impacted and enriched my life to get to know my grandmother and grandfather in Georgia. So when they got to a certain age, I started saying to myself, I want to know my grandchildren. They're living in different states. I want to know them. So it started with Regina bringing Zaria and Andrew, and they would stay. So I don't know what the conversation was, but she helped me convince her brother to send his 3. So I would have all 5 of them at the house during the summer. And I'm telling you, it was at least 2 weeks I would have 5, but for 2.5 months, I would have at least 2 of them. And those summers were wild. Um, Mind you, I was working full time. Bernard was still working full time. And so during the summer, we had to find daycare. I enrolled them in nurseries. I had 2 in nurseries in a daycare, and the other 3, they were in summer programs with the city of Orlando. Whatever summer program I could find and get them in, they went to the Smith Center. They went to Callahan Center. They went to Rock Lake Center.
Whatever,
Whatever
any way
center.
you could get them.
where I
Okay.
could get them in for the summer. But that was my summer. I would go to work, I would take them, go to work, go back, pick them up, come home, fix dinner for whatever. But it was the best time. They got to know each other, they got to bond. And that was what was more important to me. They got to know their grandmother. I got to know them. So now they're older. They're in middle school and high school and getting ready to go off to college. And now they talk about their summer with their grandmama and their granddaddy. And that just brightened up my day. And I just absolutely love it. But when they would come, we always had a beach day. So we always went to the beach. We always went to what's that amusement park out on International Drive? Fun Spot. We went to Fun Spot every year. We went to the beach every year. We had vacation Bible school at the church. They knew that was going to happen. And the
Middle school.
yeah, they knew they were going to, and of course we had church, and they participated in every youth program at the church during the summer. So they got to know the people at the church. Church got to it was just awesome. And mind you, it was only a 2 bedroom because I only lived in a 3 bedroom, very
Yep.
small house, and they shared bedrooms, so they got to have slumber parties almost every night. We had movies outside. I got them a pool. That's the only reason we had a pool in the backyard. So they would swim. It was just a summer, a full blown out summer, right there at the
Every
house. And
every
I,
summer. Every summer.
every summer
Yeah.
for 8 years,
Yeah. A long
maybe
time.
about 8 years. Yeah. Every summer because Andrew was still in diapers, and Andrew is 14 now. And so
Yeah.
the last 2 summers, because they start coming here to Houston when I moved here, they would come
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
um so the past two
Yeah.
summers we were not, they don't travel. They've gotten so old now, so.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But yeah, those were my summers with my grand, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world, Tracy. I'm telling you.
God, my Lord. I just think that is, I wanted to just bring that up too, because it really truly shows how full circle, it shows the intentionality of who you are as a person, as a mother and as a grandmother, the
Mm,
full circle of raising your own children, and making sure that you stay connected to your grandchildren as
yes.
well. And I just really wanted, to just encourage. I'm a grandmother now. I have one
Yes.
in just outside of Houston that lives in Houston, and I have another one that's in Orlando, and I'm trying to figure this thing out. How am I? I'm
And,
in
and
these.
one
I'm
in the
just
and one in the oven.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this thing out. And so you're definitely one that I look up to in this area of motherhood. And one of the things that I also notice about your family is how connected you all are. Y'all do a lot together.
Yes. Yes. My mom my mom preached when we were growing up, and I never would forget it. She was at every PTA meeting. She tried her best to go to every field trip. She participated at every school event. She would volunteer and do things. So my mom was always present for us. And I think she set that example. I appreciated always knowing that my mom was close by. If nobody else mom would show up, I knew my mom was going to be there. And I wanted to be that kind of mom. Um, so whatever they did, they didn't have to worry about it. I was going to, if I couldn't be there, they knew my support was there. But 9 times out of 10, I was always there. But yeah, that
I gotta
I
tell
wanted to be present.
I gotta tell y'all this
Say
real
that
funny
again.
story. I'm gonna share this real funny story about you being present. I think this wasn't last year; it was the year before last. Um, her daughter Regina was having a birthday party, and and originally it was just supposed to be something small here locally. Mama Rita lives in, she's in Texas, and I don't know how it happened, but all of the siblings were coming from Orlando. And so at first, all her girls in particular, that's the thing. Like Mama Rita is
Girls,
big about her girls.
my girls.
And so all the girls were coming up here for Regina's birthday. And so I remember talking to her about it. She was just here visiting like the week or two prior. And
Hmm.
literally, this woman snuck into town to be in place for her
You got
daughter's
that
birthday.
right.
She was not missing it.
I was not going.
there's a whole video. She was not going to miss it. She doesn't like to miss the thing.
I was
And
not
so
going to miss that.
no, she was not. So I walked in the house and I'm like, when did you fly in? She just was laughing. I was like, she can't stay away.
Y'all wasn't gonna have no party without me. I'm sorry. It was just not
We
gonna
sure
happen. Not
wasn't.
on my
We have
watch.
a great time. We have a great time.
Yeah, we had a good
Um,
time.
I want to just say thank you so much for your words of wisdom, your pearls of wisdom tonight. And just sitting down and having this is how we talk, our little conversations, and really sharing a bit of your journey. Mm-hmm.
Before you close, and I know time is well spent, I just want to speak to your audience
Okay.
and say we all have these conflicts that come up and arise in our lives. As pertaining to blended family, we have to make a decision early on that, you know, no matter what, we've got to keep the main thing, and that is love. If we don't operate and live our life out of love, and it's not that filial love, it is agape love. If you
Amen.
don't live out of agape love when you approach any and every situation, then your outcome is not going to come out the way you desire it to come out. Even if you operate in agape love, then you already know that comes from outside of you. That comes, it's not fake. It's not false. It's real. And you have tapped into the Spirit of God when you operate in that love, in that kind of love. So before I got saved, I didn't know about agape love. All I knew is that I needed to love and live in peace. And by doing that, the peace of God and the love of God guided my thoughts and guided my hand and guided my actions. So I want to speak to the audience to say, find out what the Word of God says concerning His love for the situation that you may find yourself in, because it's only through Him that we can rectify and that we can stay on this side on his side of glory. So be blessed, everybody. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all the other stuff will be added. Hallelujah. All right.
Amen. Amen. Well, there's nothing else I need to say other than
All
thank
right.
you for being
You're
on
welcome.
and
It's
joining
a
me
privilege.
in the family room. I am so thankful that you came tonight. Well, that's it, y'all.
That's it.
We gave a benediction.
I
We
love
will be back
everybody.
on Sunday at 6 p.m. For another episode of In the Family Room. You are not going to want to miss it. Make sure you stay connected and locked in, all right? God bless you, and we'll see you next time.